All right, welcome back to the Dragon's Lair. I'm your host Kai with a special guest, Mizutamari. Hopefully I got it right.
Yeah, most people just say Mizu.
Mizu. Oh, I was trying to say your full name.
No, I mean, you got the full name right, but most people just say Mizu.
Mizu. Okay, well, we'll call you Mizu from now on. Today, we're going to talk about Mizu's origin stories and why Mizu became a VTuber, content creator. And also, if you haven't checked Mizu out, definitely check out Under the T podcast. What did I say, Under T? It's clever play on words. I'll say that much.
Exactly.
Very, very clever. All right. So first of all, when did you start doing content creation?
Forever ago, just under different names that will never be spoken. But yeah, no, I wouldn't know like a specific time frame. I'm terrible with dates. I just know it's been a long time.
So probably a decade at least.
I wouldn't say a decade. I'm not that old.
You're not that old?
I'm a youngin' still.
Okay, so probably 5 years then, maybe somewhere around there.
Yeah, 5, 6.
5, 6. So was YouTube your first platform, or where'd you start streaming and content creating at?
YouTube, mix of YouTube and Twitch.
So do you still do a lot on Twitch at all, or?
No, Twitch is a new thing. It used to just be YouTube, and it was just video uploads.
What type of video uploads did you typically do then?
It was still gaming stuff. Like, you know, the usual that every kid wants to do. Like, I'm going to be a gaming YouTuber like PewDiePie. And then, obviously, that doesn't work. That's a bygone era. That's probably not going to happen anymore.
Yeah, and once everybody figured out Let's Plays are a dime a dozen nowadays, it's like, well, sorry. And if you can't find a way to entertain them while they're watching it, then you're toast. So,
yeah, but that's how like content creation would have started. VTubing would have started with Gura for sure.
Gura, oh wow, yeah.
I like my shark waifu.
That was a very interesting era. She took off fast when she debuted. I mean, holy crap.
Yeah, it was I think it was like 2 or 3 months, and she surpassed basically every single member of HoloLive, even the Japanese ones.
Yeah. I don't see her very often anymore. I thought it was health or something that she's not on as much as she used to be. But I think
she's just lazy, but it's okay. She's allowed to be lazy.
Yeah, she's successful. I mean, I think she was at 4 million last I checked, which she blew even past Mori. I was like, holy crap.
Oh, yeah. Even though I have to admit, Mori's still my fave.
Oh, yeah, I like Mori. Her music's really, really good.
It's just because I knew her before Mori, so I like her a little better.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about there. When did you start getting into VTubing then?
It was shortly after Gura.
Shortly after?
I remember because it was, I just went to go look for a model after Artemis did her debut stream. And I was like, oh, other people can do this, not just company people. And I went and looked for where to get a model at.
So did you end up doing this model yourself, or?
Oh, no, I paid for it. Have you, because you probably haven't watched Under the T for too long, so I guess you probably haven't seen my original model?
No, I haven't. No, I just started watching it not too long ago.
Here, I will, because I actually still have him in here. There we go.
Oh, wow. That is a really cool model.
Oh, yeah, no, we spent some monies on this.
So why don't you
and
use
I don't
this
even use
one?
it enough. Oh, because we're getting a new one that matches my little small guy a little better.
Doing a massive upgrade then.
Yeah, but this one's got fun things. I've got like my fins for it, so I have ears on this one too.
Mm-hmm.
I had to have something to turn my sash on and off because I learned very quickly. I guess a lot of people wouldn't know this, but VTube Studio used to not handle transparency well.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't use like what's it called, spout or whatever is what we use now, which immediately makes the background fully transparent. But it didn't work for the longest time. So my sash picks up the color of whatever my background is.
Oh no, that could be problematic. I could see that right there.
Yeah, which means that the only background it looks good with is blue. But if you're going to green screen something, because we didn't have Spout doing the transparency thing at the time, you can't blue screen a blue person. So it just fucked everything up. It was terrible.
Yeah, this is a really nice model, though. I think I've seen the original picture, but I thought that was one you're slowly changing to, so I wasn't quite sure.
No, my Twitter has the picture of the new one, which should be here sometime early January, from what my rigger has told me.
So you gonna do a debut then on Under the T, or are you doing a separate debut then?
I don't know how to debut. I'm just gonna show up that way one day.
Hey,
debuts are too much work.
I kind of agree with that. I see the debuts and the re-debuts all the time. Like, holy crap, how much planning you got to do just to get all that set up? I feel like I'd rather just jump and say, hey guys, hey, check out the new model. Let's dive into whatever.
Yeah, that's my preference, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, there's maybe one day I'm drumming up my ideas myself on diving into VTubing a little bit, but I'm probably going to do a lot like Kason does, where she changes based on the whim, because, you know, that's the interesting about VTubing. Sometimes you can't hide what you look like or who you are, and so it's just, hey, accepted. Other times you get away with it, is what I've seen.
Yeah, I choose to be an anime person forever.
I don't blame it. It adds an extra layer of, in my opinion, security, but it also allows you to do a lot more. With my interview with Sark, we talked really deep into 2D and 3D models and stuff, and I said, yeah, the one thing I like about the VTubing on your guys' side is you can change your outfits, you can change stuff on a whim. Me, if I want to do any role playing or change it, I literally have to get up and go change shirts or whatever, or put on a wig or whatever.
Yeah, but we still have to like pay for new outfits. That can get kind of spendy and time consuming.
Yeah, but at least you have options. So I mean, there's pros and cons with it all, but it just kind of depends.
Yeah, personally, I just prefer the VTubing.
How was your first day of VTubing? Was it scary, or was it just like, hey, I'm diving in and what the hell?
Oh, I didn't even debut the first time. I just went for it. I do remember I was using a free model from something called Vroid.
Mm-hmm.
Except that's on a completely separate Twitch. I actually still have that available. That Twitch is also secret.
I remember Vroid. My friend told me about it a couple of years ago when she was VTubing, and I used to ask her a lot of questions here and there, but I know so much technology has changed since then. I mean, I feel like even with this mod you have here, so much has changed from a year or two with technology.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's something new that's a lot better than Vroid now, but Vroid is still like the really accessible one. Like, I can just download it and it works.
Can you give kind of example on the prices of like the two different models that you've done?
It depends. So this model art alone was a little over $1,000.
Oh, wow.
And the new model I actually got from an artist in another country, and their prices are extremely low, and it will be around, what was it? $350.
Holy crap. That is a...
But the rigging on this one, the movement, ended up being about $300, whereas the rigging on that one is going to be like $700.
So really, you're not changing much. You're going to just bounce what you're paying typically. One for art, one for rigging.
Yeah, because my artist for this one has changed their names so many times, I genuinely don't know where they are anymore.
Oh, no. That's rough.
Yeah, they kind of whooshed away.
What kind of content really did you decide you wanted to do outside gaming then? I mean, I know you have Under the T, but what kind of made you want to go that direction?
What direction? You mean the drama direction?
Drama, news, stuff like that.
I'm just a drama whore. I've always watched the commentary community on YouTube. I've always thought it was super interesting.
That's the one thing with the drama tubing that I've always found, or news tubing, or whatever you want to call it. There's some interesting things to follow. Holy crap, Mizu, you follow a lot of different stuff. I've noticed since I've started following you, you have so many different stories that you've seen or news to take. And how do you keep it all separated?
Oh, I don't. I let it come to flow to me naturally because I hate myself.
Okay, that's good. What's some of the worst stories that you've seen?
The famous one is a guy called Poppy the Lich King, which normally what you get with like when people are doing call outs and crap is you don't ever see much, honestly. People are really bad about like, I'm telling you this, so you should just take my word for it. And that, for obvious reasons, that doesn't work most of the time. But with Poppy the Lich King, his ex-girlfriend had like tons and tons of DMs and like voice recordings of him abusing her. So that's probably the most wild thing we've ever had to see.
Okay, so some of the stuff that I've seen definitely has been way, way lighter than that.
Oh yeah, no, that was a rough one. Although admittedly, like halfway through the stream, we kind of started clowning on him a little bit. Because like, yeah, it's bad that he's like abusing his girlfriend like this. Clearly he's a piece of crap. But some of the stuff he was saying came across like a supervillain in a movie. Like it was hard not to make fun of it, honestly.
Oh Lord.
You know, like, have you ever watched a series called Austin Powers?
Yes.
He talked like Dr. Evil.
Oh, no.
Like, it just some of the stuff he would say, it would come off like Dr. Evil, and it's like, yeah, you're abusive and you suck, but it's really, really hard not to laugh at this. Because this is hilarious.
So it's really hard to look away from this train wreck that you're seeing here because it's like, holy crap, this is entertaining.
Exactly.
It kind of reminds me of the, I don't know if you've heard of like Kino Casino.
I have.
With all the stuff that they run into. And I think the funniest two have been the specific lawyer, and which I'm sure we probably are very similar in what kind of news circles.
We're probably pretty close.
Yeah. And the other one was Rich at Review Tech. I couldn't believe he just deleted his 1 million subscriber channel. I was like, what the hell?
Some people are very attached to their reputation, and no matter like how big they are, how much attention they get, they will just sacrifice it all.
Yeah. I just couldn't believe it because I remember watching him when I was way younger for tech news. It's been at least a decade. At least. So you guys kind of became like the Kino Casino of VTubing then?
I'm not sure if I want to necessarily be attached to them.
Yeah. Yeah, they kind of get themselves in all sorts of trouble.
No, we just, I'd say we're the only VTubing news source that is open and honest about being interested in drama. Because I have talked about it before, but everybody else has this idea where they'll be like, I don't like drama. I'm just here to be a news commentator. It's like, no, this is drama. We all like drama. Let's be honest with ourselves. Everyone likes to watch a good trash fire. No matter how much you try and pretend you don't.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's why in news, drama sells. And no matter, you can be uplifting, you can be inspiring, but then at the same time, then everybody goes back to the one thing. What's today's soap opera? Whose life is going to shit today? So,
and that's always been our thing is we're very open and honest. Like, yeah, no, we enjoy the trash fire. We're not going to sit here and pretend like we're very valid news people.
Oh, yeah. So how much research do you have to do when you when you do a segment on it?
It really depends. Sometimes like you can pound it out pretty quick and there's no issue. But other times it's like, okay, I need to talk to like 50 people because none of you are being honest with me right now.
So that's when you go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
What was one of the worst rabbit holes that you went that took really a long time just to get the right, accurate information?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember because there really hasn't been many. Most of the time, people aren't too bad about that. I think the worst was the Johnny FM document, where we had to read just like so much stuff because he was just refusing to give anybody the real story. But he had like 4 different call out documents on this one guy, and all of his friends got in on it, and it was insane. But ultimately, none of them had any good information. They were all so stupid. We've talked about it on stream a couple times before. We reference it by saying Minecraft trees, because one of his allegations was that they were sure that this guy they knew was a groomer abuser because he planted Minecraft trees on somebody's house.
Wow.
And it's like, what are you supposed to say about that, honestly?
So much for journalism on that. It's like, what the hell?
You don't understand. They planted trees on my Minecraft house. Okay. What?
So you ever feel like some days you're like, please put me back on planet Earth?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes. That's
Like
just...
that was probably one of those times where it's just like, I don't know what you want me to say about this guy. Granted, the document was very, very funny.
One thing I've saw is, seems like you've also been a little bit embroiled in controversy. I saw something earlier today with, so people are taking your clips out of context then?
Oh, that was a thing with Alara forever ago. I'm still waiting for her to woman up and actually chat with us about it.
So was that just something that they basically were just being dishonest, or do you think it was an accident? Or
well, somebody had given them a bunch of stuff from our stream, and a bunch of it was pre-clipped for them. So I'm genuinely kind of curious if the person that clipped it for them, because they gave them the whole stream, if they just didn't care to actually look into any of it, and they're like, you know what? I just trust this person, so I am not going to actually watch any of what they sent me and just, wing it.
Yikes. That's not doing news if you don't do your homework.
Yeah, so it didn't work well for her. But We've offered for her to come on and talk about it. She just refuses.
So what do you think the biggest difficulty in the VTubing community is, as far as getting people to work together, or people to just kind of not do some of the crazy stuff that we've seen, such as that last night, how do you want to put it? The
there's no way to fix it.
That night letter from a certain cat.
Taiga.
Yeah.
Taiga versus specifically.
Yeah. I saw that and I read that and I'm like, okay, I don't understand it, because I tend to follow the news on both sides too, here and there, but I don't really cover it. Most of mine's like gaming news or content creators and stuff like that, but I still read that stuff and I'm just like, what the hell? This makes no damn sense.
I don't think there is any fix for it. I think everybody just really wants attention, and a lot of them don't understand how some of the stuff they're going to do is going to come back to bite them.
So it's kind
of... we cover this actually quite a lot, is that a lot of people don't understand that with news and drama, you can't just say whatever you want. Like, there's still rules to it. And none of them are like written out for you, right? You just kind of have to be in the community long enough to casually pick them up, Like, it's always a big thing in the commentary community, is there's lots of little rules about talking about people that you have to follow. And all of them, when they see it, they're like, oh, so all I have to do is be in drama and boom, like I get 1 million views from that. It's like, no, because if you cover it wrong, people are going to ask for your head. And none of them seem to realize that. So they'll do what she does Well, they'll make like a huge longer document or whatever, and then it immediately comes back to bite her because she, using her as an example, obviously, some of the people watching this probably won't have the context, so they'll just have to trust me on this. But like one thing she does is she leaks a bunch of DMs with people she was talking to. Huge faux pas. You never leak DMs with people unless they're lying about what you're saying. So she f***ed up on that one. The second one is she repeatedly says in the document, I deleted all the evidence, so just trust me. Never say that. If you're making a document, you have to bring the evidence with you. She ends the tweets talking about her document with, I'm going to stream about this, so if you have any questions, ask me there. And then she proceeds to ignore anyone that's giving her hard-hitting questions on stream. Don't do that. You don't want to be answering questions on stream to start with. Answer them in writing. And it's stuff like that that gets every single VTuber when it comes to drama, is none of you are actually know the rules.
Yeah, that's definitely an unspoken rule of creators. You don't drop DMs. That's the one thing that I've seen, and I've seen some of the guys that don't do VTubing that just sit there and drop it, and I'm just like, that is breaking a golden rule, because DMs are supposed to be confidential between each other. It's like,
yeah, and then once you drop DMs, nobody wants to DM you anymore because they know that there's no like anonymity in that you could release in the future.
Yeah, and there's no secrecy or sacred area where you guys can discuss privately, and it's that's a no-go. And the way you described it, and I don't know this person, but it sounds like it was just somebody trying to get more people on their side and get more views. If they're saying, hey, I'm going to address it all on stream, which feels like that's a pretty common thing that I see even in the non-VTubing side, just as kind of the outsider that still kind of covers a little bit of the media and looks at it and sees if there's anything relevant. And I've noticed that too, when it comes to just, they do it for clout, for 5 minutes of fame, and then it burns them.
Yeah. I think for her especially, it's probably like permanently burned her.
Yeah, that's sad. But do you think a lot of these VTubers, since I know the market's getting really saturated right now, do you think a lot of them are just desperately trying to find something to grasp onto to get attention?
I think they are, because there's a lot of them that will post tweets about how you can't just be a VTuber and get popular anymore. You have to do something unique. And I think a lot of them don't realize that they are the ones that got popular without doing anything unique. It's like, no, you are just an anime girl with big boobies, and all you do is you play Call of Duty. Do you have any idea how many people stream Call of Duty every single day, or Valorant, or League of Legends?
Mm-hmm. So
like,
true.
You are the person you're warning others about. I'm sorry that nobody told you this.
Like, I've watched some of these game streamers just to see what made them so big and popular. I've seen ones with 100,000 channels, and they're like, and they're just sitting there, and they don't interact with their viewers or anything, and they're just sitting there, and I'm just like, this is entertaining? How?
One thing that would throw a lot of people off is a lot of the bigger indie VTubers all know each other.
Really?
And it's a very incestuous relationship between a lot of them. And you won't always see it, but sometimes when like big conventions come up, they'll be like, hey, me and so we're hanging out at like an after party. And you start like kind of piecing the little lines together, and it's like, wait, all of you know each other. You're all friends.
And so they're building up their basically fan base through each other, and
yeah, which it's not a way, like they think it's an infinite viewer glitch, and it's really not, because especially when you all start like streaming at the same time, you're all sharing viewers.
100%. And I think that was the biggest thing. So I used to do a lot of collabs, and that one thing that I've learned is, sure, I may have a stream, they may have a stream at the same time, which I love doing, but realistically, you don't want your viewers to intersect too much, because if you do stream at the same time, you're toast.
Yeah, your viewers are going to have to pick. And then I know it hurts some people to hear this, but when you put your viewers in a position where they have to pick who they're going to watch, you're going to find out very quickly which one of the people in the friend group is the funny one. Or the interesting one, or the one that has something cool going on. Mm-hmm. We had a interview on the Under the Tea channel with Merriweather where he complains, because he collabs with people all the time. And he was complaining to us and like on Twitter that a lot of the viewers aren't coming to him, they're going to his friends. And like, we have to be nice to him because we're doing an interview with him and everything, but it's so hard to resist being like, yeah, they're telling you that you're not the funny one in the group, dude. Like, I'm sorry. People like you for your comics, but there's a reason that when you stream with a bunch of people, everybody would rather go to somebody else's stream.
Yeah.
It sucks, trust me. I know that hurts to hear for some people. But like, a lot of these bigger VTuber groups need to learn that, and they need to prepare themselves for it. Because if not, they end up kind of like him and like other people I've seen, where they get angry at their friends. Because they're like, it's not fair that like they're all going to you and I'm just like off here onto the side. You grow this resentment. It's sad.
It's really sad. And it's funny that we both can kind of talk about this, because I've seen, it doesn't matter VTubing or not VTubing, I just feel like there's a danger with collabs. Collabs are great if you're doing a one-off or you're doing a little series here and there and it's one and done kind of thing. But I feel like if you do the routine collab with people day in, day out, or you do collabs so much with the same people and you're trying to share audiences, it just don't work. It just don't.
It's going to fail eventually. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge it, though.
Yeah, I think everybody tries to jump in self-denial, which, you know, is part of the reason I don't do as many collabs as I used to. I do like one-off interviews like this, or I may say, hey, you know, want to do a game maybe once a month or something. But if you do it too continuous, and I've seen that too. I have a friend that does VTubing, and they collab all the time. They don't do anything by themselves anymore. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, that day that you're doing everything by yourself, you may watch everything just go if you can't maintain that funny.
Exactly.
And yeah, you're right. You do find out who the more entertaining one, who the more funny one is of the group once everything goes to hell. And there is resentment. Or if you're trying to push a show a certain direction and you're trying to build up hype, you're trying to get more people in the seats to watch, but everybody else has a different angle they want to do it, then it's easy for this fellowship to collapse.
Yeah, I think a lot of it can be avoided if people just prepare themselves, but nobody really ever wants to do that. They want to just hope it's going to work out.
I think one of the most successful groups, and this isn't a VTubing group, but one of the most successful ones I've seen that have kept together all this time has been Nerdrotic's Friday Night Tights.
I'll be honest, I've only heard of them. I've never seen any of their stuff.
They've been doing it for years, and it's usually the same people. Now, they've had a few people retire because time zones and conflicts, but they're always there. And it's impressive that you can have that type of collab every week, nonstop, for years without some type of complete collapse internally.
I don't necessarily think it's that strange. I think what happens is a lot of people end up collabing with people that aren't their friends. You see this a lot with like people Keemstar collabs with, or I guess the commentary community in general on YouTube, where they collab with people that are larger and have more following, but they're not necessarily like friends with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, that's why you guys end up falling apart, because none of you have like any loyalty to each other outside of money. And I don't think you can make a business like that.
No, you really can't. And that gets painful. So it's really cool when we're talking about this, just how much similarities you have between VTubing communities and non-VTubing when it comes to collabs and stuff. But one thing I've also seen, and this was going to be a subject I was going to touch with you on this, parasocial relationships and how bad they get.
Oh, those have never bothered me. If somebody wants to be parasocial over me, that's their prerogative.
But
Look, I say this with a lot of people, but it is not my job to babysit you. If somebody gets parasocial with me, that's their problem. I'm not going to encourage it, but I'm not their mom. I don't have to sit here and like figure it out for them.
So here's a question. Do you think VTubing has a more serious parasocial problem than non-VTubers?
I don't think it does, but I think a lot of people assume it does because it's a lot more idol culture-y, and people kind of people play a character in VTubing. So the fact that everybody kind of plays a bit of a character, people look at it and say, well, clearly they're intentionally breeding these parasocial people because they are playing a character. It's like, no, that's not necessarily how that works. And I would say if you go on Twitter and you go to like any major YouTuber, you're also going to see like a ton of deeply parasocial people. Like, it is physically impossible to criticize some YouTubers without getting extreme amounts of hate. Like, up until his controversy, you physically could not insult Mr. Beast on any platform without getting chewed out. It was impossible because he was just seen as the absolute golden boy, and there was no way to be like, I actually don't like what he does. You'd be dead in a day.
Oh yeah, he had a lot of idol worshippers for him. I was like, holy crap.
Same thing with Dream. Until Dream got caught like cheating and a whole bunch. Even the cheating didn't do it. It was cheating. It was the his beef with the Gumball Watterson voice actor. All this other stuff had to happen before you were allowed to criticize Dream.
The other one I think of is the Doc himself.
I don't know that one.
Dr. Disrespect?
Oh, and I actually genuinely never followed his side of YouTube. I don't know how it escaped me.
Really? Holy crap.
Him and all the other like shooter YouTubers just physically never showed up in my feeds.
Let me tell you, there's some down the rabbit holes for some of them.
Oh, 100%.
So if you ever get bored, Doc has probably the strangest one that I've seen. You know, losing his deal on Twitch and then admitting some stuff on X, then deleting the comment on X, then getting demonetized on YouTube, then YouTube saying, nope, sorry, you're not coming back, monetize. And then suddenly now he gets a multi-million-dollar Rumble deal plus ownership in the game. And I'm like, holy crap. Somebody said he's touchable. Nah, not if you can turn around and land something like that.
Yeah. No, I genuinely like that side of YouTube somehow has completely escaped my purview. But it's also because I just don't care.
Yeah.
People in the like YouTube shooter genre tend to just be really annoying frat bros. And it's like,
that's accurate.
Like, I don't really care about like your muscle posturing and yelling at each other like how much you can lift. It's not interesting.
You know, that is probably the best description. Mizu.
Well, I think
I'm trying to keep a straight face, but yeah.
Because that's why VTubing drama is better, because VTubers are majority women, and women, when they get into drama, just like knuckle down, drag out, make it the worst thing imaginable.
Cat fights, and you just sit there and eat popcorn and watch, like, who's gonna win this? This is gonna be amusing.
Yeah, like drama with shooter guys is unless you're Dr. Disrespect and you get busted for something like that could seriously be a crime, most of the time it's just them like flexing at each other and calling each other gay. It is.
It's true. Yeah, I see some of those muscle heads that are playing those shooters like, yeah! I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, sorry, dude, I'm checking out.
Yeah, but with the VTubers, it's like 30-page Google documents. And it's like, yeah, this is way more interesting.
Like last night's love letter or night letter, whatever the hell you want to say. It's like, holy crap.
Well, that's something we have to even mention with our own followers in our Discord a lot, is we want drama that's fun and interesting. It doesn't necessarily even have to be like a legitimate complaint, right? Mm-hmm. Like it could be two people just getting in a slap fight, but I need to be able to sit down and laugh at it.
100%. I mean, in my opinion, you want stuff that's funny. You don't want something that gets really tragic and catastrophic.
Yeah, I mean, we'll cover like the tragic and catastrophic stuff, even if it's not as funny, because you know sometimes it is good to just have some of that stuff aired out on a larger platform or signal boosted a little bit.
So do you feel?
But yeah, I would
go ahead.
prefer it was funny. No, I was just gonna say I just prefer it would be funny. There's only so much depressing you can take.
100%. That's why I kind of didn't cover too much depressing news on with the media that I'm doing, because I was like, holy shit, there's just so much negativity already. I'd just rather watch somebody that's already covering the stuff. They can take all the Valium and everything else. I'll just check out and laugh at it.
Yeah.
So appreciate what you do on that. You know, you dive in the weeds so the rest of us don't have to.
Oh, I like being in the weeds, though. It's fun sometimes.
So I guess we say you're the sacrificial fish in the matter.
I'm the fish in the coal mine.
Yep. So I remember watching the whole thing with Twitch, with this whole VTuber thing. Do you think that was really truly a thing, or do you think it was just VTubers just trying to push so much to look even more sexy, and they really pushed and crossed the line? Or what do you think was the whole deal with that? Because for a while we kept seeing people saying Twitch is targeting VTubers hardcore, or do you think it was more, it was in the terms of service, they just didn't follow it?
Oh, Twitch is definitely targeting VTubers. Kind of regardless of what people think, because a lot of people ended up turning on it because they were like, well, clearly all these people are making the sexy models intentionally to get in trouble. But with a lot of them, it just didn't make sense, right? So a couple of them, literally like a day after Twitch released their new ban or their new like requirements, they released their models like the day after that. And you were not getting like a model up and running after a day. Even with good artists, it is a month-long process. And that's if you have two really good artists who can like really bang out their work. Because I don't think a lot of people have seen what a VTuber model looks like before it's been rigged. But like my head alone is cut into like 200 different layers, because that's just what you have to do in order to make it work. So there's no way an artist like banged out their model in an afternoon just for them to get banned on Twitch. That didn't happen. Their models were clearly in the works for over a month.
I know one of them you're talking about, Megalodon.
Yeah. Like some people are like, oh yeah, no, they like banged this out in a day so they could get banned on Twitch for clout. Like, no, that model was probably, especially for bigger people like that, that's probably been in the works for like 2-3 months now. Like I really doubt that they found an artist that could do it in a day. Even a week, that's struggling. It's so much work.
I'd even be impressed, considering my previous guest was Sarok, and just diving deep into how much 2D and 3D and rigging and everything she was talking about. She did her own work, and I'm just like, holy crap, how'd you even have time to sleep?
Yeah, like if their artist got them to like bang that stuff out that quickly and their model was that high quality, their artist would literally be like millionaires. because they'd be charged, because you're charging like $1,000 a pop on this stuff, and if they're bringing it out in like a week, they're making like over $1,000 a week just doing VTuber models. That'd be so like just good level of income there. But no, I definitely don't think they did it on purpose. Some of them probably do push the limits specifically on purpose, but I also don't really blame them because, again, look at what's already on Twitch.
Yeah, that's the big problem with Twitch is they set the bar already with all the non-VTubers. There's some ones like I remember the one that used to ride a giant pickle on stream, or she's the one I can think of the most, or the ones where they get in trouble because of some scandal. Where I think my favorite one was the one that was caught having a live intercourse on stream.
Yep.
Just for clout, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, but you got Dexerto writing articles on it. Of course, you just gave her another 100,000 followers just to see if she's going to do more of that. Because now we got OnlyFans Lite.
Yeah, like the big one especially that I think a lot of people haven't realized is the youth risky category. Because the youth risky typically hits lolly VTubers a lot, or Shota VTubers. But if you actually read like Twitch's description of youth risky, it doesn't make any sense. I believe every single streamer on their platform could be hit by the youth risky tag. That they claim like they take super seriously, and it's very strict and it's very narrowly tailored. From everything I've read through their policy, it just looks like if we believe you're being lewd or sexual on Twitch, and that a child or children could see or be involved in your content, then it's ban worthy. And it's like, okay, but your platform doesn't allow me to like filter my followers by age, so this doesn't make sense. Like, there's physically no way for me to prevent this.
It kind of reminds me of the whole thing where they said, oh, hey, we're going to allow artistic nudity. And for a day, it was just like, what the hell happened to Twitch? And where's the quote unquote age restriction crap?
Yeah. The, people like to be mad at VTubers for ruining the artistic nudity thing in an afternoon, which granted, there are some VTubers who took advantage of it, but there were a lot of like just real people that took advantage of it as well. Like that same day, somebody called Tectone did a stream where he was just completely naked and pretended to masturbate on stream without like a model or anything. And then that same day, tons of women immediately left the body painting category and started doing like their nude body painting in regular categories. It's like, this is not like all VTubers' fault. And this is Twitch. Like, none of these people got banned. None of the real people did. The VTubers did. The real people were let off the hook.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
I thought that was so stupid. I was like, Twitch, what the hell were you thinking doing this? I mean, seriously, did you not know what was going to happen? Or, I guess I that's the reason why I don't stream on Twitch hardly. I mean, I've been thinking about it, but I just think that it's ran piss poor. And I don't know how VTubers put up with it, to be honest.
Genuinely, Twitch and YouTube both, if they just added a feature where I was allowed to set my stream as 18 plus, and then if a user clicked on my stream, it would say, hey, this is an 18 plus stream. You're going to have to verify your age with Twitch. A lot of people would use that feature. Like, obviously, some people would still try and skimp the rules around it, but I guarantee you'd cut like your reports based on that stuff in half, if not more.
Oh, I 100% agree with you. I mean, some of my streams or even some like the interviews, we may have folks that swear I tried to censor some of it for YouTube and all that, but some discussions, to me, it's not meant for kids. And there's this little toggle on there that says not meant for kids, that we have to hit on YouTube, as you know. And I'm like, why the hell would I? And I got a streamer or subscriber the other day, 15 years old. I'm like, this ain't for kids, guys.
Yeah, they give you an option that says not for kids, and then they'll let people that have confirmed themselves as kids still watch it, and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and it gets frustrating because, you know, you can't have the fun innuendos. You can't have, you know, the stuff that where you're on that thin line where you're not going to get banned, but it's like now you got some kiddo on there watching your stuff, and you're like, great. Thanks, YouTube. And the next thing you know, it gets into a big problem and they start punishing everybody.
And if they did this, because like they always complain about advertisers, if they did this, they'd open themselves up to more advertisers. Because then they could just do strictly 18 plus advertisers on those streams. Like, I don't understand why they don't just do this.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
It's so dumb. But yeah, on the artistic nudity thing, I don't really think the VTubers are to blame. I do really feel bad that some of them got banned. Like one that I was like genuinely like, what the hell was Sarai? I was like, I saw clips of them, like, she doing anything wrong? There's barely anything there.
She was also using it as supposedly intended.
Yeah.
But they just kind of blanket hit all VTubers because they don't like us.
Yeah. Well, one of them really did push the envelope. I have to
Marina did, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Without saying the name.
Oh, no, I'll say the name all day. Fuck Marina.
Yeah, I saw that. That was like literally on the front page and that's how I ran into it. I'm like, what the hell? Because sometimes I go on there to see what people are doing for games or if there's an interesting talk show if YouTube's run dry. And then it just happened to be that day I was on there and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? So I had to go on X and I saw that they changed the rules. I said, well, this is going to end quickly.
Yep, didn't even last a night.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to, though.
But you know, it's funny. That wasn't what caused the ad sponsors to pull ad revenue from Twitch. It was all the other recent crap.
That was, what's his name? Hassan.
Yeah. I'm just like, wow, that didn't pull sponsors, but this other crap did. I'm like, what? Like, okay.
Well, most sponsors don't really care about the sex stuff, honestly. Like, that to them, that's good. Kind of like that's good, those good eyes on their product.
Mm-hmm.
Despite what a lot of people say, a lot of sponsors are like, yeah, we want to market to people that like want to have sex. Everybody wants to have sex. Who cares?
Yeah, it's part of
political
life.
When it becomes an issue, especially because around Hassan and specifically his discussion with Asmongold, which is what caused it, the word terrorist popped up a lot. Specifically, the words and phrases terrorist and anti-American. And no American company, regardless of how much they do or don't love this country, do not want to have their product next to the words anti-American or terrorist. And it immediately causes them to freak out.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was too much of that on Twitch. I feel like I know it wasn't just him, but there was a lot of them that were popping up. And I think a lot of them were doing just for clout. A lot of them are just running for clout chasing. They're saying things that they don't even know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you let somebody of a certain size just kind of run rampant with this stuff for long enough, it just tells everybody that it's okay.
Yeah.
And other people are just going to follow suit because it's like, well, it's okay for Hassan to do it. And he's got like 3 million followers. Why can't I do it?
I think that's the same way it started with the whole OnlyFans Lite. You know, you had Alinity, you had Amaranth, you had all those. Then next thing you know, everybody's trying to do it.
Yep.
And I think that's the danger with content creation, whether you're VTubing or not, is everybody tries to follow the clout, whether it's good or bad.
I am kind of the opinion that like trying to get clout wouldn't be as bad if they stopped interfering as much. Because a lot of stuff only becomes like metas, right, for Twitch and YouTube, because they keep changing their algorithm to try and squash certain stuff. And I think the platforms would be a lot more diverse and users would be a lot more like open to different kinds of content creation if they stopped trying to constantly squash certain things. Because then everything would kind of be like an equally valid way to grow and people wouldn't resort to these extremes anymore.
Mizu, I actually agree with that, because the way I look at it, when I was starting a content creator 2-3 years ago, when I was jumping into this, they all these gurus of, you gotta be like Mr. Beast, you gotta be like Mr. Beast, you gotta do everything. And I'm like, so why would I, if I'm gonna be a Mr. Beast clone, why would anybody watch my crap? I'm literally regurgitating what he's doing.
Also, nobody can be a Mr. Beast clone. Nobody has that money.
Mm-mm.
A lot of people forget that you can't do the Mr. Beast thing. You can copy his thumbnails, though. I think somebody did some experiments and found out if you copy Mr. Beast thumbnails, you like triple or quadruple or something insane your viewership.
Yeah, they did prove that on a couple of them. I think there was 2 of the gurus that I follow that said, yeah, it's just some psychological head games with the thumbnails, which, like, yeah, whatever.
I think it just appeals to kids, which is not the viewership I want to start with.
Same. I mean, I'm looking for folks that are adults. I don't really, there's plenty of stuff for, everybody else. It's like, I don't want to involve that. But I don't try to follow to get, go viral. I mean, and I feel like today, it doesn't matter if it's VTubing or not. And let me know if you agree or disagree on this. Everybody's trying to break the boundaries to get noticed.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, think of one thing I think of is the content creators that go to foreign countries and break all the rules and harass the locals and everything, and for clout or to go viral.
Johnny Somali and his friends.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I remember, but he's not even the first one. I mean, I remember the Paul brothers when they went to Japan years ago.
Oh, they spawned out of IP2. The Paul brothers aren't even the first ones.
Yeah, I don't know who is, but I remember that. The only reason I remember that is because that was like one of the apocalypses that hit YouTube.
They all spawned out of Ice Poseidon.
See, I don't even know that one.
Ice Poseidon caused like one of the first big in real life streaming controversies when he got repeated threats called into an airport because people were trying to prevent him from getting on a plane.
Holy crap.
And it was probably the first big like in real life stream controversy. And if you watch any of Ice Poseidon's old streams, it's just like he's got a California streamer house and tons of people show up to his house, or at least they did. I don't know what he's doing these days, to completely like debase themselves in front of him and his viewers in hopes that they can get like a crumb of clout. Like they will let themselves be absolutely humiliated and dragged repeatedly. And that's kind of where the Paul brothers and Johnny Somali spawned out of, was his kind of group of people. I don't think they necessarily came from his group exactly, but they definitely kind of followed his like ideas and teachings about how to do the content.
That is crazy. You just taught me something I didn't know, Mizu. I never even heard this person, because the only thing I remember was like when they went to Japan, and I also remember the whole when YouTube started having politics with like the Crowder situation. I mean, holy crap, we had so many apocalypses on YouTube. I think this is Twitch's first, maybe?
Possibly. Is Ice Poseidon still streaming? Ice Poseidon shows off his new Lambo April 18th, 2024. Yep, he's still doing it.
Wow. You know, I'd rather just cover news. I'd rather talk about games reviews or interview creators or talk about some of the crazy stuff that we've experienced versus what the crap they do. That's just crazy.
Yeah, his Twitter right now is at 182,000 followers.
Oh, wow.
See, I'd like to point out, like, with people like Ice Poseidon too, and I had to explain this to somebody the other day with the Johnny Somali thing, is people don't watch them because they like them. You can do just about anything to get, like, attention on your content, but it doesn't necessarily mean that those people like you. Some people are there to watch you fail, or some people are there to, like, hope you ruin your life. With Ice Poseidon, it was people that were there that hopes he ruins his life. Because if you go to his Twitter, he's got like 182,000 followers, which is massive. But if you look at his tweets, he struggles to break like he's capped at 1K on his most popular tweets.
Ooh. Yeah.
Like, that is obscenely bad for like that number of followers. And it's because people aren't following him because they are interested in his content or what they have to say. They're following him because they hope that he's going to blow up one day and ruin his life.
And they're there to
all
see it.
following to wait. Yeah, they're all just following to wait for it. And it's the same with Johnny Somali. Nobody's in his stream because they're like, God, this guy is so cool. I want to do this one day. I mean, there's probably like 3 or 4 people in his streams like that.
Probably kids that think, yeah, he's my hero.
It was a lot more prevalent with IP2 because a big thing with IP2 and Ice Poseidon was they would have a speaker on them that would read out text-to-speech redeems that were done while they were streaming.
Oh, no.
So people would intentionally put like the most horrendous stuff you've ever heard through them in attempts to get like the public mad at them. And it's like that's how they made their money, by basically debasing themselves and making themselves a laughingstock.
Holy crap. And here I thought the DSPA loggers and the Review Tech A loggers and all of them were bad. Holy crap.
See, that's the thing with like people like DSP though. DSP is an idiot, but like he's just kind of naturally an idiot. Ice Poseidon is driving away in a Lambo right now. Like, he's an idiot, but he knows what he's doing and he knows how to make like the content work. He just doesn't care about like his life or how it affects him.
Yeah. That's a very good point.
Like, I believe DSP genuinely does want to be seen as like a good streamer at the end of the day, or a good YouTuber. That's why he always brags about fucking winning Street Fighter or whatever happened.
I do agree with that. I mean, and he's probably going to be here long after we're all gone.
Yeah.
Still doing it. I'm just like, holy crap. Because I think they call him the Roach King or something. No matter what, he can't be canceled. You can't get rid of him. He'll be here forever.
But that's why I can kind of have like at least a little more positivity around people like DSP, because it's like, yeah, he's an idiot, but he's like a genuine idiot. Like, he's trying. With some of these other people, they are just as dishonest as can be, and they don't care. And I just can't go along with that.
So do you have a lot of, so outside like the non-VTubers, in the VTubers, is there a lot that are doing stuff like that too, that are causing that type of nightmare for VTubers, you think, or?
No, not necessarily. Personally, everything I've seen with VTubers is VTubers use a lot of that stuff to be super creative and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is one VTuber, I don't think they stream necessarily, because based on how their content is, I don't think it would physically work with streaming. But they're like a handy person. They just go around like fixing little crap around houses and buildings and whatnot. And then they upload it with like their VTuber model kind of overlaid where they are. It's like a 3D model. And maybe they do it live. I don't know. I've only ever seen the videos.
That sounds interesting.
That's their in real life streaming. They're a VTuber that just goes around showing people like different handyman things you can do.
Now you make me wonder if there's a way you could actually do that with gardening and cooking, where you could actually literally have an anime character literally doing all that in the real world. Yeah,
I mean, they might be able to, because it's overlaid really accurately. and it seems like it'd be a lot of work to redo all the motions twice to make the model fit it. I don't know how they do it. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, then you've got people like there's this scientist VTuber that makes like really crappy inventions, and then he streams like absolutely his inventions destroying his house.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, like because he's an engineer, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll stream stuff like, "Oh, this is a machine I made to flip pancakes," and the machine just like freaks out and starts slamming down on his stove and breaks the top of it.
That other stuff sounds amusing, way more than the stuff that we see on the non-VTubing side. That's stuff that I could get behind, just laughing my ass off on.
I think that's what drew people to kind of VTubers originally, was there was a lot less of the openly malicious stuff at the start.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot more just, having fun, people doing wacky things and making fools of themselves instead of trying to make it the general public's problem.
So
also,
go ahead.
I was gonna say also, like, a lot of people just got a lot more loose-lipped with talking about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of streamers won't really tell you too much about their life because I guess when you see their face, they get like kind of clammy about it. But with VTubers, because a lot of the times you don't know anything about them, not even what they look like, they'll just kind of spill it all, like, "Oh yeah, this is how it was for my childhood and all this."
Yeah,
it makes them seem more genuine.
I think it adds an extra layer of protection since they don't know nobody knows who they are, so they can see it that way, and then,
Yeah, and there's always plausible deniability.
Yeah. Although I feel like if you're really popular, they're gonna find out who you are if you change VTubers models or you change characters. I mean, one of the great examples I can think of is anybody that was Nisanji that went over to like Visojo, or like a particular one that even I was like, who the hell is this person? And they had like 90,000 subscribers, and it was a Jerboa train conductor, and I was like, and then they did their debut, and I'm like, holy crap, who the hell is this? Granted, I figured out like in the first 5 minutes who it was, but I was like, oh, surprise.
Yeah. What do you mean, Doob?
Yeah.
Who's Ame?
Yeah. I don't know if you really could say that too much, but
I have a theory that the entire idea behind Forbidden Lore, which is acknowledging a person's past life, is actually an AstroTurf campaign by HoloLive to try and prevent their talents from going back to their past lives and leaving the company.
Really?
Yeah, I have that theory. I've always had that theory, and people call me crazy for it.
I could see that, because one thing I never understood about VTubing, you join these agencies, and it's your IP, your character, your concept that you create. Unless it's literally you're basically piloting their creation and you're in this guideline. But I feel like there's still that some creative freedom when you join an agency. But then once you graduate, you have to give up everything. That never sat well with me, especially if you really built something up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think of it, like, especially like the Niji Sanji group, like how that thing imploded, and all these people had to give up their characters or their work that they had. Now, most of them had really cool stories I've seen where they bounced back, but it was still one of those, just like, this whole idea of graduating sucks because you give up everything for what? And
well, because they graduate because a lot of times they're not allowed to keep their IP.
Yeah. And I feel like that's something. I feel like agencies do enough and probably make enough money off the individual. They don't really need to if they say, hey, my contract's up, I want to move on or go indie. They don't want the protections that they once had. Because I feel like that's the reason why people went with agencies, is they wanted extra protections and support group and all that crap. But, I just never set well, because you got some really great creators that have to start from scratch, or you have to figure out who they are. And sometimes you can, sometimes you can't.
Yeah. I would also think, because like a lot of people get really upsetty spaghetti about the past life thing. I feel like a lot of them are probably really happy when somebody recognizes it's them and says it's them when they start a new project like that, because they're not allowed to say it. Like
Yeah.
there's probably like some contractual thing, but typically they're just not allowed to say anything about it. So they're probably really happy when somebody says it for them, and it's like, okay, now all my followers can find me here.
Although I gotta admit with Doobie, there was pretty much she dropped hints right at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I was like,
So did Mori though.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I think a lot of people forget that Mori had a reference to her past life in her very first song that she ever made for Hololive.
That's true. Yeah, and I remember some things with that. There's a lot of interesting things with that controversy and other things, but I've always thought Mori was cool.
Oh, you know, she's great.
Yeah, and hell, I like what music she does. I mean, she's very, very talented with rapping.
Depends on who you ask. I think she's good.
Yeah. I think she's really the only rapper in Hololive for music, I think, right now.
Probably. Honestly, I can't think of anybody else.
Because Bells, I don't think she really does anything that's really rap.
Probably not.
I'm trying to think, but if there's any of them that really do.
She's done stuff with Gura before, so there's that.
Yeah. But Gura hasn't been around for so long, other than maybe show up once or twice here and there. So, yeah. I was thinking about that. I can't think of any others that is rappers. Yeah, I follow them too, just because I find a lot of their work very interesting. So, do you think you got this whole big stigma where, like, you and I can't coexist? You and I can't play games together. You and I can't work as creators together. Do you believe that stigma is here to stay, or do you think there's ways we can change and break that?
Oh, I've never had that stigma. One of my friends is a in real life tuber, and I play with them sometimes. My friend streams with them all the time. They have like a podcast together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it's for other people, but that stigma's never been for me. I've never cared.
Yeah, I've noticed that with like on X. I've noticed that where it's like VTubers only, or you see it, the other one with, you know, what they call flesh tubers. That's just the weirdest name they come up with. I just say, you know, face tubers or whatever the hell they want to call it. But then you've also see all this hate going on with like Iron Mouse and Kai, because one's a VTuber and one's not. And
I honestly think that's just Kai. I think his followers are I think a lot of people are really skipping over that fact. They're like, well, Kai said something nice about Iron Mouse. It's like, yeah, but have you seen what he says like any other day of the week? He's kind of a douche. Like, he's saying something nice to Iron Mouse because Iron Mouse is like right next to him on the stage. Like, they're first and second place. So he's kind of got to be nice for like sponsors and stuff, which I think a lot of people forget that.
That's a very good point.
Other than that, though, I think he's probably just a dick. If it was any smaller VTuber, he probably wouldn't care, and he'd probably talk tons of crap about them.
Because I see all these articles like on Dexerto, which Dexerto's garbage anyway. I just think they do things, but they had like Sea-Dog talking about all this, and then I've seen all these VTubers talking about on X, like, well, what can we do to end this whole, you know, VTubing is weird and all this, and I don't know if there's anything you really can do. I mean, it's the same thing with, on my perspective, it's really hard to get VTubers on for an interview. For me, it's been really hard. I'm still going to keep going at it, Mizu. But the problem with I've seen a lot of it is if you're not a VTuber, they don't want to interact with you, and it's like, what the hell?
I think it's a consistency thing, probably. For some people, at least.
No, I get there is some a-holes that don't respect the anonymity of the VTuber, which there was some gentlemen that pushed the envelope too far, and I feel like they started trying to ruin it for the rest of us that are just there to, because I consider you a creator, I consider myself a creator. There's no reason we can't work together. That's how I view about it. But I do feel like there's some of those guys that did damage it, such as, I'm not sure how familiar with her, but the whole Pipkin situation.
That doesn't narrow it down at all with her.
Where, I'll just say Camelot basically kept posting real life pictures and saying, hey, I'm with Pippa.
Nobody likes Camelot.
Yeah. That's true. But it created a whole crap storm. And then, of course, he had to double down, and so did the lawyer guy, which I was concerned that was part of the problem that started creating this whole divide. But do you think it's always been there, or there was just some, or what's your thoughts on that?
No, it's always been there. Because a lot of people don't really get the whole anime thing. And I kind of don't want them to get it because they're really annoying when they show up.
That's true.
See, that's the difference between me and a lot of VTubers is not only do I not care about their social norms, I don't want to be involved in their social norms. Because once you meet the social norm, then everything just kind of sucks.
Can you elaborate a little further on that?
Everybody wants everything to be dumbed down to like an equal amount for everyone, and everything just gets substantially less interesting. Like, I want my anime to be niche and weird and cater to like very, very specific interest. But once it becomes like super mainstream and everybody starts to understand it, well, now it has to just cater to everybody, and now everything fun and interesting about it gets watered down.
That is a very interesting perspective I didn't think of.
I would rather my stuff stay niche and never get popular. And then you always have people like, but if it doesn't get popular, it will make a ton of money. Well, it doesn't need to make millions of dollars. Like, you can run a small studio with like a niche following. You don't need to be like the next Disney. At that point, they have too much money they don't know what to do with, and they just keep putting out garbage anyways.
Hey, don't get me started on that. We could be here all night talking about Disney.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like Disney specifically, but everybody's like, well, don't you want them to like be that big? No, they don't need to be that big. They wouldn't know what to do with that size. Like, that's just such a dumb thing to aspire to.
It's true. And then we also see what happens when people get the rock star mentality.
Yeah. It's like one of those things like, well, wouldn't you want to have Jeff Bezos money? I don't know what I would do with Jeff Bezos money. I would buy myself like a fancy computer, and I would probably make my house look a little nicer. But like, what am I going to do with the rest of it?
Yeah. Or you could be like Asmongold and have millions of dollars and learn how to clean for the first time.
Yeah. To be fair, I thought he had maids cleaning his house.
Well, he might have.
I didn't realize he was just letting it rot until I saw those pictures.
Oh, you never seen The Legacy where he had a giant roach crawling all over him?
I did not. I don't really watch him.
Oh,
I've always found his content to be very low effort.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, but there was some clips that popped up on YouTube, like Asmongold meets the roach or something. I'm like, what the hell? And literally climbing on while he's eating on stream.
That's wild.
I'm like, okay, dude, clean your house, please. So I think we're going to wrap everything up here because you've answered everything.
Yeah.
And it's definitely been great to have you on here, Mizu. And I hope for the viewers that everybody's got to definitely learn a little bit new stuff. And Mizu's channel will be down in the description. So definitely give Mizu... Actually, I need to ask you one thing, Mizu, before I stop. Do you have 2 YouTube channels, or is it just only under the T?
No, I have 2.
You do have 2?
I sent you the other one in DMs,
Okay.
but it is just Mizutamari VT on YouTube.
Okay. Okay, awesome. So
yeah,
both...
Under the T is just the podcast, and the podcast is a joint venture between myself, Luminous Cove, and Mama Akko.
Okay. Okay. So based on that, we'll still have the description for both links down below when this video comes out. And thank you again, Mizu. I really appreciate you coming on here.
No problem. You have a good night.
You too.